Welcome to another episode of What Teachers Have to Say. I am Nathan.
And I'm Jake.
And today we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence
Waka, waka, waka.
again.
Yeah.
So this is where this podcast kind of started. And
It was time to revisit.
come a long way.
Yeah, we're going to start by kind of recapping what has happened since March, the last time that we had an episode about that. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the reception in the world of education, right? Like how are people feeling out there? We're going to get into some academic integrity.
Yeah.
That's a big question.
It is a big question. That seems to be the big question, but I'm not afraid of it.
Yeah, and we're
going to find out why.
And more so, we talk about how to combat academic disintegrity.
Yeah.
What's the word for that?
Dishonesty?
We're going with disintegrity.
Disintegrity.
We're going to talk about like how to combat that, and probably not in the way that you think.
Yep.
And then the roundup.
Yeah.
This is
we
fun.
got
Make
some
sure
good
you stay
tools
for the
you at
end. Because we're going to talk about tools that we're using, and we talk a little bit about the high school model and even down to our youngest kids.
You can start to integrate some of these things into your classes and really change things
It's time
up.
for some praxis. So I wanted to talk about like, where are we with AI? Right. So
let's check in.
Right? So our very first episode back in March was Terminators or Transformers. Boy, we've learned a lot since that one. That one, if you haven't listened, it is worth going back to. And I'm sorry for all the weird mistakes that we made as brand new podcasters. But the philosophical underpinnings of it is really interesting.
Yeah.
Like I just listened to it yesterday and
I'm
like, oh yeah, there's cool stuff here. But like, So I think it's interesting to kind of timestamp us.
Yes.
Right. So it's August 7th, 2023, because we're talking about artificial intelligence, which is moving at the speed of light. When you look back at forms of artificial intelligence a year ago compared to 6 months ago, they're unrecognizable.
Right. Like go up on the YouTube, like the movies made by AI on YouTube, the Mr. Puzzles.
Mr. Puzzles.
So absurd.
Yep.
So that's AI a year ago, just like, and in it, you can kind of see like how we've gotten to where we are. It's like the old model. You can see how it pieces together information.
I don't know that I'll show that one because it's kind of gory.
It's a little weird, yeah.
But I kind of want to show one of those to my students, because the thing is, you can really see the machine of artificial intelligence, where it's like, oh, I need a subject, verb, object, predicate, and it puts them together in really weird ways. Right. It
does. But culturally, at this point, we have anthropomorphized artificial intelligence so much. But we really should rethink that. One of our tech friends...
My friend calls him Chad.
You could go that way. Or like one of the tech guy at our school who's like, it's machine learning. And really, that is what it is. It's a machine that is learning how to put together information in a way that makes sense to us as humans, but it has no intelligence.
No, it doesn't at all. So we're going to talk about, just kind of recapping very quickly, the change. The API has been unleashed. Yeah. We're in the wild west of API. Like there's so many apps and, you're getting so much going on, and there's some good stuff out there, but boy, there's a lot of garbage out there too. I keep getting so many emails like, hey, we'd like to collaborate with this because you do AI. I'm like, no, I'm not going to put my name on that.
Yeah. So if you're looking for some practical tools, like knowing the tools that we use, we'll be talking about that later on in the episode. But wanted to kind of start with this like philosophical, where are we in the state of education?
Where are we in the state of education? What's the reception in education that we see? And then we're going to talk about some like academic integrity. That's a really big question.
It's a huge question.
I think those of us that have been wrestling with the idea are now ready to wrestle with the praxis thereof. Like, okay, so now in practice, how do we deal with it? Instead of, my coworker came to me this morning and was like, hey, because I sent out... I wrote a syllabus thing about artificial intelligence, and which maybe I'll bring up in integrity. But I loved it because she was like, so this other coworker, and she like got on Chat GPT for the very first time today. And they did like what literally everybody does, right? Yeah. I did it, like we all did it. It was like, write a poem and turn it into a country song. You know?
Yeah, that like genre changing.
And you can see this moment where she's like, bro, what have I been missing? I'm like, oh, honey, like the train left a long time ago. Like we got to get you up to speed. Yeah. But, you know, and that's kind of like education's reception out there. I'm really seeing, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'd love to hear from our listeners on this.
Yeah.
I'm really seeing like 3 camps out there. And let me couch this in, I'm part of a lot of online forums. I have done a lot of in-person trainings specifically on AI. Like I've led them and I've also attended them. So I've kind of seen a lot. I'm seeing 3 things. I'm seeing that there's teachers that are like totally hot on it. And they're like, absolutely, like you and I are in the hot category. They're like, let's play with this. Let's figure it out. Let's be in the conversation, or somebody else is going to be in the conversation. Yep. You know, let's do this. It ain't going away.
We need to harness this power.
And then, of course, there's the cold, which is like, absolutely not. I will ban all technology from my classroom. Children will be writing in pencils that they sharpened with pocket knives. They will write their essays.
Slates
I'm being
chalk.
So judgmental right now.
I know.
But that is a camp that's out there. There's people that are like, well, if we can't ban it, we'll prevent it.
Then throw it all out.
And we'll throw it all out. And I'm not in that camp.
Right.
At all. Because it ain't going away.
No.
And then the third camp, I hate using the term camps, but the third phase is just the confused, right? I think that we're all in that a little bit, but there's very much like the head in the sandy side of confusion. And
like maybe it won't affect
like maybe
me.
It'll be fine.
Maybe it'll
I don't need to do it.
I don't, Yeah.
My children won't be using that.
Right.
Yeah, they are. They already are. Or the like, I think this is you're like, this is interesting, this is important, but I don't have inroads to it.
Right.
Or like, I don't have the tech background or the tech brain or the like wonder brain.
Right.
Meaning like the wondering, ferreting out information.
Right.
My fingers always twiddle when to ferret things out.
We're going to find it.
That confused cohort, I think, is really important because, frankly, they're being extremely honest.
Yeah.
And saying, like, I don't know how to feel about this. I don't know how to shift about this. This all leads us down the rabbit hole, though, to, like, praxis. And,
I like that you said that and you use that word, like, praxis.
It's my anthropology background.
Yeah, no, I love praxis. Praxis is a great term because it means in the practice of, right? Like you might not be like plugged in the same way that I am or that Jake is in terms of like exploring this new technology, but that doesn't mean that it's not for you either. Like the way that AI has become increasingly simple to use. Like actually in our professional development, like staff meetings to start the year, we had like a fun little creative project to like get to know each other better. And I was like, what's up? I'm going to show you the power of AI. And I like pulled it up. I had it. We did this skit where we were like a rock band. And so I had it made a band logo and we're going to make t-shirts. I had it like write a whole like movie trailer script for a documentary on our band. Like, and then we just, you know what we got to do? Then we just got to have fun.
And film it. In real life.
Yeah.
With real people.
Yeah. Because it
became the mechanism.
It would have taken a while for me to really like think through that.
Oh, absolutely.
Or like build that or write that out. But it was just fun. And then we got to actually have the fun of connecting and being more human.
Yeah. Well, and in terms of, it's kind of along the lines of academic integrity. Like, it wasn't important that script be amazing.
No. Not at all.
You know, like as a product, we understood like, no, this is just to get to know each other. It's not to learn to write scripts.
Yeah, but it elevated what we could do. Like there's no way we could have accomplished all of those things or had it be as fun or as cool without that little bit of extra support. So think of it this way. Those of you that are in the confused camp, it's your robot assistant, really what it is. And in terms of like Chat GPT, you can just go back and forth with it in terms of like a Socratic method. Like just ask it questions or tell it things, and it will
I make it
respond
ask
to
me
you.
questions
Or
now.
that's
that's
a great tactic.
Jumping ahead to mundane ways of using ChatGPT.
Right.
I've kind of played with that a lot, where I'll say like, I need to, do X, Y, and Z. Ask me 15 questions that you need to know in order to better craft that for me.
Right.
And then I'll answer that. And it's amazing what comes out then.
I would say if you're in the confused camp, definitely play with it, because there's a lot of potential there that we're going to discuss. So first, let's talk about like academic integrity, right?
Yeah.
That's the question on everyone's mind. Like, how are students going to use this to cheat?
Right, because
That's
they will.
Question.
Cheater gonna cheat.
Because they will.
Cheater face.
However,
There's
is that a reason to like not use the tool?
Look.
No. You need to invite your students into using the tool, right? Like, remember, you're a mentor. Remember, you're guiding here. You are not, like, you should not be gatekeeping.
Well, and it brings up a really unpopular question.
Yeah.
That why do students cheat? Right? So why do they cheat? Well, sometimes cheater just going to cheat.
Right.
It's going to happen, right?
It's going to happen. Something's going on in their life. They're not ready for whatever you're offering.
Like, I'll speak from here. Let's just use platform. Here's
Totally.
my exact experience. I'll couch it within that anecdotal.
Sure.
So sophomores in a high school English class, we worked a lot. I mean, we worked a lot looking at the role of artificial intelligence in education. And as such, I tried to be extremely transparent, saying like, okay, guys, I used ChatGPT to write this. What does it look like? How do you like, and they'd be like, geez, ChatGPT to write that. I'm like, of course I did. Why wouldn't I?
Right.
Like it made an example for us to use in class. Did it teach you well? Yes, it did. Was it great? Yeah. Did it take me 3 seconds? Absolutely.
Right.
I got to binge watch a little bit more of Naruto. No, seriously, but like it frees up that time it frees up the brain power space. It frees up time. It frees up effort to then like I get to engage more with my students.
Right.
Giving
Exactly.
instant feedback. I have the brain power. I have the stamina.
I have the emotional energy. The creative energy. All of those things that have the potential to
facts.
Get back
But
to
so
you.
what I noticed was, as we were interfacing, and that's the verb that I like to use with it.
Yeah, sure.
As we're working through, like, hey guys, write an introduction, throw it in ChatGPT, and have it return back 5 ways you can make it better. And then they'd edit it and throw it back in and back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah.
Well, they found out that if they did it too many times, it didn't sound like them anymore. And they actually really didn't like that.
Right.
Like they got really upset. So, for academic integrity, to me, it's about building that inner worth, that inner wealth in the student.
Right.
That pride in your work, which is floundering in education right now.
It is.
Right? But when they see value, I think you and I both believe this on like an intrinsic level.
Yeah, deeply.
Human beings actually enjoy the acquisition of knowledge that is applicable.
Yes. And
so when students know that what they're learning will serve them and it's serving their time and it's respectful of their effort, in my experience, they don't cheat.
Right.
And they do way more work than they would have otherwise. Right. They dive in.
When you pivot to skills.
Yeah.
And you pivot to, we're building skills in you.
Right.
And this is going to serve you as a human.
Yep.
Right? Like that's really the goal of education, is
right.
to open possibilities.
Yep.
Every student that walks in your classroom has infinite possibilities within them. And so often the structure of our educational system just crushes.
Systematically crushes.
There's no time to open those doors, to be creative, to be more human. You're just literally processing humans, right?
Which is what
there's some situations where
listeners can go back to our previous episode. That was literally why education was created in this
historically,
iteration,
culturally,
factory model.
That is what it is.
Bells ringing,
and it's working as
segmentation.
It was intended.
It's working exactly the way it was intended to.
Right.
And
but
now this AI
world,
is like, what? Like, wait, I can break out of this mold. I can unplug.
Right. Because once you realize some of the things that it can do to your classes, to you, the way that you're teaching, to the way that you're offloading mundane tasks, like
there's a lot of ways, and we can't cover all of them. We'll only cover a couple of them too. But if there's specific tasks that you're looking for help with, like drop them in the comments, email us, text us, whatever.
We've been playing at this game.
There's so many ways to contact us. We'll figure them out. We'll help you with them. So we're going to start with the mundane tasks, move into the creative tasks, and then
talk about some cool
tools.
Yeah, the ones that I'm going to use in my class, and have used.
Yeah, absolutely. So
mundane tasks.
Tell us about.
First of all, Chat GPT.
There's like a deviousness to this.
It really is. So Chat GPT can absolutely destroy, in a positive way, destroy your gradebook comments.
Absolutely.
Report card comments. So let's just start there. And I feel like this is a really good way to draw other educators into exploring artificial intelligence, because it's such a daunting task to have to write many
especially at the end of the year, and you're tired and you just want summer to start, and I can't think creatively and positively and wonderfully and say delightful, incredible things about every student.
It's hard. It's genuinely hard.
It shouldn't be, but it is.
About it is like, I want to say nice things.
Yeah, I love saying nice things about kids.
I love talking about celebrating
my students. But when you're writing 35, 40 of them, or in our case, like 160.
Yeah.
You
lose track pretty quickly of what you actually even want to say.
Right.
So
and a lot of people use templates.
Yeah. People use
for
templates
these already. People listening right now are like, oh yeah, I use a template.
Sure.
This is like the next step.
This is the next level of that, because you can go back and forth with ChatGPT just a little bit and get it to start spitting out comments that really actually are very close to your writing. And then you just like a few little things that you actually do want to say about that student that are meaningful and individualized and, on reflective of celebrating the successes of that student.
Right.
But it enables you to take out all of that really painful, mundane writing of the whole comment. It gives you the skeleton of it.
What do they call that? The terror of the white page.
Yeah.
Just how do you start that one comment again by not sounding like this the exact same that you said, thing you said before.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I've done that too, where I'm like, hey, this is a student. I never use their names because there's security issues right now. You got to be careful of that.
Yes.
But I always say there's a student, this is what they like. This is their level. Here's a fun fact about them that I enjoyed about them in class, kind of a thing. And it creates these beautiful comments.
Yeah.
And then
same thing.
I also want to say, I put in, these are the things that we covered this semester, and that gets copied and pasted into everybody's.
Right.
And then I just tack on a little personalized thing at the end. Yeah, that was a great one.
And we don't have to write lesson plans.
No. Well, we don't have to turn in lesson plans.
We don't have to turn in lesson plans is what I mean to say. But those of you that do, done.
Correlated by standard, objectives, and an essential question.
It is
that you can write on your board.
So easy.
It's so easy.
If you have to do that, offload that. Offload that to ChatGPT.
Print it out.
100%. Don't waste your emotional, creative energy on that anymore.
Yeah. Well, and then even the flip side, this is more towards the creative, but if you want help planning a lesson, it'll do that too.
It will.
And it actually has some really great stuff.
It does. So the first time you introduced it to me, this was within 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was close.
Jake, had got on it basically right when ChatGPT came out. And then 2 weeks later, he comes over to my classroom and was like, yo, you got to check this out. And
I believe my term was, bro.
Yeah, I think so, actually. I don't even think he
grieving.
Full sentences. Yeah.
You need to grieve with me.
Just watch this. And he's like, what did you teach this week? And of course, I was teaching this pretty obscure, transcendentalist essay by Thoreau.
What else would we expect from you? You're a nerd.
Right. So, it's Walking by Thoreau, which is a great essay. I love to use it in my classes. And it was basically just like plug that in and asked it to build a lesson plan. And it was basically exactly what I did. Now, I have a master's degree in English.
You have a master's degree in Thoreau.
Yeah. Like, I don't usually flex that, but in this context, it was like, oh, whoa. Wow. And it even gave me a few extra ideas of some things that I could do.
I was like, you said like, oh yeah, I took the kids for a walk.
Yeah.
And we were doing a certain thing. I think you didn't even tell me, but I was like, oh, hey, Chat GPT, what if I wanted to take the kids on a walk?
Yeah.
And it was like almost identical to what you had done.
It was. It was wild. Freaky. It was really upsetting. Yeah. Then that was like just my introduction into this world. But I feel like that was a really good one. Yeah. It was like, okay, cool. Actually,
there is usage here.
Actually, like, yes, I have to grieve the fact that my like nuanced advanced education necessarily wasn't
reachable
needed there. But it was also like, okay, I also have the knowledge to properly curate this.
Right, because you wouldn't have known if it was good or not.
No, I wouldn't have known. So definitely you have to, stay within the realms of what you actually know, because sometimes it will spit out false information and you might not catch it unless you have some
a skill set
around what you're trying to get out of it.
So another mundane task that like here, right under the hood, the creation of this episode.
Yeah.
Right. Totally. So we're members of the Edge Protocols community Facebook group. There's almost 12,000 people in it. It's just growing exponentially so fast. And so I threw out like, hey, we're doing a podcast episode kind of updating on AI in education. What would you want to know? Like ask, phone a friend.
Right.
And so when we were just preparing, we were eating our lunch today, and I copied and pasted the entirety of the comment strand.
Yeah.
And I think these are ways that often people don't think to use ChatGPT. That's the thing.
Right.
It's like, oh, write my essay. No, that's boring. There's way better ways to do it. And so I put it in and I said, I always like to give it a scenario. So I was like, I'm going to, look, I'm fake typing. I'm going to give you a comment strand. I want you to remove any names, timestamps, and other information and return back only the comments in quotations.
So strip out everything.
And so it just stripped that instantly and it returned back a list of like 60 comments. It was so helpful.
Then what did you do?
I know. And then what? Then what? Now this is moving into the more creative, right? And so I was like, oh, the mundane is just like I stripped data into a more usable fashion.
Sure.
Okay. And you could do that with so many different things. If you were building a spreadsheet and you had this wonky data, it'll rearrange the data for you very easily and produce a table. But what I did is then I had this list of 60, 55, whatever it was, comments. And it was things like, oh, I would like to know about usage. I would like to know about tools. I would like to know, these things that the community said.
Right.
And I said, hey, Chat GPT, this is a list of things that teachers have offered as a possibility that they want to know. Can you collate that information, analyze it, and pare it down into a few main categories? That's where this becomes really powerful. And I digress. If I talked about this on the podcast, I'm sorry, but it's cool. So I'm teaching The Little Prince.
Right.
I love teaching The Little Prince at the end of the year. And this weird brain of mine was watching on Apple TV. It was watching, I always get it wrong, The Boy, the Horse, the Mole, and the Fox. The Boy, the Mole, the Horse, and the Fox, whatever.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful philosophical cartoon allegory. It comes from this book that was written. And my brain was like, oh, that would be a great companion text to The Little Prince, which is allegorical.
Sure. But then it would, you're in the middle of your unit. It would take you hours.
Luckily I hadn't started the unit yet, but I was like, oh my gosh, how? Right. And I also knew that I wanted to use this really kind of obscure poem by D.H. Lawrence called Walk Warily.
Oh, I love D.H. Lawrence.
Yeah. And, I was like, hey, Chat GPT. Right?
Hey.
And so I just said, I was like, I always check, like, are you familiar with The Little Prince by
this is a
Antoine de
good strategy.
Saint-Exupéry.
Just to make sure it's scrubbed some of that
Yeah,
data.
and it says like, of course, this book was written in blah, blah, blah. I'm like, great, you know.
Yep.
And then I said like, are you familiar with The Boy, the Mole, the Hawk, whatever, The Boy, the Mole, the Horse, and the Fox by, and I'm escaping the author's names right now. And it said, yes, I'm familiar with that. It said, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, great. Yep. And then I said, are you familiar with Walk Warily by D.H. Lawrence? And it was like, no. I'm like, that's how obscure it is. Awesome. So I copied and pasted it in. I was like, this is that.
This is that
And
poem.
then I said, I want to use all three of these as companion texts. A book, a video, and a poem. Find correlations and return back to me 4 themes that are common to each of them.
Dude.
I could have done that.
Right.
I could have done that. It would have taken all weekend.
Yeah. You have the skills to do it.
But it returned back 4 beautiful themes.
That's so awesome.
And then I was like, okay, cool. Let's push this even further. I was like, these are the 4 themes. Can you bring back to me a quote from each reference according to each theme? And it created this table for me that was like, you know, the themes down one side and then the resources across the top, and then a quote in each one from the resource. And that became my map to teach the unit.
That is awesome.
And I've taught it many times. I've taught The Little Prince many times. It has never been as cool to correlate it to 2 other very disparate pieces of information.
And in that, you're also like kind of introducing genres and like literary genre. Like you're doing some heavy stuff.
It's some heavy lifting.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Like that's so cool. For me, I was using it to build whole courses.
Yeah, right.
for students, individual courses. So this was situations where skill building wasn't the issue. It was credit recovery, right?
Yeah.
We pandemic times, we failed some stuff. We needed some credits to graduate high school. So I was working with a couple different kids that were in this situation, and it was like, well, what are you into? What are you reading? And one kid was reading Watchmen.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, cool. That's deep.
Graphic novels.
That's heavy. Graphic novel. Awesome. How about we do that? And I'll do a whole course for you on Watchmen. Would I have been able to do this?
No.
On my own?
It would have taken days.
It would have taken me so long.
And you weren't familiar with the
do
resource
it.
itself.
Right. Like I'm only
you'd
a
have to
little bit
read them.
familiar with Watchmen.
Yeah.
Like I've seen the movie, I've read part of the graphic novel. I have it. I need to finish it. But it's I wouldn't have been able to leverage that and get that buy-in from that student on this credit recovery course. But I was able to do it with Chad GPT by building assignments and building out pacing and this student did more writing than I ever would have required.
I've been curious how it turned out.
Out of like, you know, a packet workbook credit recovery thing. Like it was deeply meaningful.
Somebody who came in credit recovery ended up doing crazy amounts of awesome work.
Yeah.
Back to like, they recognized usage. It was something that she found value in, or he found value in. It makes me think like project-based learning is within grasp.
It is. It's
personalized
right
learning.
there.
It's right there. Like
it's
we're
right
almost there. Like you couldn't have done that for every student, right? Because it probably took 45 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, somewhere in there.
You know, check just to make sure that it's like okay, themes, characters.
We're hitting standards.
We're hitting
standards, essentials,
doing the things. But it was. Yeah, that would have taken me way, way longer. But I wouldn't have been able to do that for every student, even at an hour a piece, right? No. So we're moving that direction, and you can start to leverage it in these
we're starting to
creative
taste
ways.
it.
And we have that taste of what education could be, what schools could be, with the power of AI.
Yep. Imagine that. Imagine if you could say like, hey guys, these are the objectives.
These are the standards.
These are the things that need to be done.
I need you to do this.
You go interface with AI, create a plan that is interesting to you, and I'll verify it. I'll double check and make sure that it's good.
God, that would be so cool.
Right? Like I haven't done that. I'm not ready to do that.
I'm not ready to do that either, but that's a possibility.
It's a possibility now. It's
That's
a possibility.
such a good
Project-based, personalized learning. It's within grasp.
Exactly.
In certain situations.
Yes.
Right? So let's finish up with tools.
Let's get to tools. So we've talked a little bit about Chat GPT.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like the granddaddy.
Use it for creative and for mundane tasks, right? So for other like API related tools or ways that AI is being used by other companies, you were talking about Quizizz. Quizizz wants to like
Quizizz is really cool. So there's a website right now called Question Well.
Okay.
I don't know if it's .ai.org, whatever. Just Google it.
Right.
So what's great is you can put in a question or like something you're working on in your classroom. You can even like copy and paste text into it.
Okay.
And it will, from that, it will create question sets.
What?
Which is cool,
That's
right?
so helpful.
It's so helpful. But the super cool thing is that it will export to spreadsheets that you can upload to any of those quiz platforms like Kahoot, BlueKit, GimKit. It's automatically formatted for that. And so I was playing with that. And I was showing that at one of these trainings. I think it was in Laguna Beach, and Sean Reed came up. I don't know if you know Sean. He's an awesome guy. And he came up and was like, "Hey, have you seen Quizizz?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, I know Quizizz." He goes, "No, have you seen Quizizz?" I'm like, "Sean, just tell me." And Quizizz has basically integrated that model into their platform.
That's awesome.
So, so many people use Quizizz, and they also started this like race to the top or mountainy kind of, I don't know what it's called. My kind of like problem with Quizizz is that it would ask the question once.
Right.
Where I don't like teaching that way. I like it to be iterative and like keep asking it over and over and over and over. Right. And so they've created that model.
Really?
Yeah, that's in there. So I am really truly. I signed up for the AI is a beta test right now.
Yeah, because you can sign up. GimKit dude for
I
a long
am
time.
a GimKit aficionado. Yeah, you should see the skins that I have on my Gim. I got like the Indiana Jones GimKit.
What?
Yeah, but this is making me consider, not a total shift, but definitely integrating that because you could do it so quickly. If kids have they're like, oh, we clearly missed X, Y, and Z along the way. Create a question set and you're off running.
That's amazing. I'm genuinely reacting to this because I haven't heard about this platform.
Yeah, like, and so if you're interested, I think you've got to go to. I think you go to the website and sign up for the AI. So that's a cool one. But you've got
that's a good one. The one that I go to. Okay, so context,
I was slinging this one at Notre Dame.
Nice. Yeah. So context. I'm teaching a dual enrolled college level English class. Okay, so at the high school level though. With high school students on my high school campus.
By a high school teacher.
Right.
Under the shadow of a high school tree. With a high school dog. And that's what we call parallelism.
Yeah, Jake. Always teaching. Okay, so...
Can you imagine what it's like to be in my class? I feel sorry for these kids sometimes.
Yeah. So sassy. Yeah. Anyway, so... really like the complexity of academic research in the way that colleges want to see that happening, right?
And specifically like peer-reviewed journal research.
Specifically peer-reviewed journal research or like library book-based research. Like it's a very difficult thing to wrap your mind around, and it's very much like behind a paywall. It's very like... It took me until, probably my junior year of college to actually really understand, what peer-reviewed journals were.
Well, they have not updated it since young Sheldon invented it. Just kidding. People that watch that episode. Right. They have not updated.
No.
They're using Boolean search terms.
When you go to the library, so we have a community college that we're affiliated with to get college credit for the course. Going to their library search engine is so outdated. Yeah. It doesn't understand Google speak even. It's so difficult to work with. So what that does is it's creating a brokenness between students and the ability to get the information.
It's like direct in UDL. It's like that is a barrier.
It's a serious barrier, and it's not easy to get around.
Yeah, and you could make an appointment to go talk to Jean. Jean's an incredible librarian out there.
Totally.
And so she'd help you.
This is Butte College we're talking about in our area.
But she doesn't have all day.
Exactly. So
for every student.
That I don't even think I've mentioned this platform. Consensus is the name
good.
of this platform. Google this.
Consensus.app, app.
Is it that?
I think. You talk, I'll check.
Okay. So Consensus, what it does is it's scrubbed data from many academic journals. And what it will do is it will give you kind of a summary of the article, and then like compare that article to different articles. They're really growing their platform right now, and I really am excited to dive back into it and teach it this year.
It is .app.
Because
Consensus.app.
Awesome. Consensus.app.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to like jump into this year and start using it from the very beginning, because even like halfway through the class, that's when it kind of came out and when I started playing with it. And I walked into the class one day, it was just like, you guys, you don't understand. Like, you don't understand how big this is. Like, college level research is so hard, and it's so like such a barrier to actual learning. And so I had my students using Consensus, using those searches, finding different information in different journals that they could cross-reference with other journals.
Yeah.
Everything was current. Everything was like really, really easy to navigate. And the like information that I got out of these kids and the writing that they did was beyond any college level class I ever taught.
So great.
It was amazing. And these kids, some of them were sophomore age.
Yeah.
Like 15, 16. Actually, one of the best papers I received was from a 15-year-old kid.
It's so great.
Because it was like he had access to all this information. So he could find all of the articles and all of the summaries and do that. Like, it basically did half of the research process for him, you know, that like first primary lit review thing.
Yep.
And then he could use the name of the article, the author, and go plug that into the college database and pull up the exact article, so he could actually reference the real article too. So it's like an intermediary is a really good way you can use it.
And the synthesis.
It's amazing. I can't say enough good things about that.
I love the synthesis aspect of it.
Yeah.
It's a little harder to get working.
Yeah.
You know, but it'll totally say like, oh, 85% of papers agree with you.
Yeah, that's the consensus
it's
part.
So
it's
cool.
Like, it's the
and it shows you the whole, it's like the whole Dunning-Kruger thing. It's like, oh, I didn't realize that I'm on the side that has less consensus.
Right.
You know, it's like really interesting.
In the discipline of researchers doing the work that never gets out of academic journals.
No way.
You know, we don't really have access to that information.
Yeah.
But now you do. And now students do.
Yeah.
And that was just amazing. It's like it's so cool to be able to take this massive leap forward in how you can integrate like really high level academic work into your much lower levels of English.
Yeah.
Like,
it's super cool.
I'm teaching college level, right? But like, you could easily integrate that,
like
fill in the blank content in sophomore level standard stuff, because it's just like,
and then you can use
ChatGPT
ChatGPT to rewrite it at a lower level so that students can read it and access it. You can put Lexile numbers into ChatGPT and it knows them.
Yep.
There's so many cool things there. I'll counter with, you know, we've talked about some higher order things. How about our lower schools?
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
There's two that I think are super cool. I mean, granted, like Quizizz is definitely something that is used at lower grades, but auto draw. Have you played with auto draw?
Yeah.
So auto draw used to be, it was fine. No, they backed it through AI now.
Yeah.
And so it's actually like, it's super cool. Auto draw, like you draw a little bit of a shape and you pretend to draw what you think is what it is. Right. And then it says like, is this what you meant? And it gives you like possibilities of what it was that you were trying to draw. So it's really cool, you know? So I have some philosophical waverings with like that, but when you just want to play with it and when you want to use it, that's really cool. Yeah. For our younger grades, the two other ones, so I'll say three, using text to image models, right? Canva is free and accessible. And there's others out there. Yeah. And so kids can type in like, I want a dolphin riding a narwhal, and it'll make it. Like it'll make it. Yeah.
That's amazing.
And so I met a teacher who used Canva so the kids could illustrate their books that they were writing. Right? And they were getting like bespoke book things, you know.
I love
And,
that.
and there's something to be said for like actually doing the illustration yourself. Arts is deep within me.
For sure.
But there's also a model that says it's okay to use AI to create really funny, quirky, professional looking things to add to these children's books. And then the last one, which is the little school adjacent, but Duolingo is freaking cool now. They've updated. It's backed by AI. I know you're sick of me talking about it. I've been learning.
He's been learning like 3 different languages.
Arabic and Spanish. But it used to just be like, oh, you got that wrong.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. But now it's like, oh, you got it wrong. Here's why you got it wrong. Here's 3 more examples and an explanation. Whoa. And it's because of the AI backing behind it.
Right. It's like, oh, I see where you're thinking wrong there, in like when you were translating in your mind.
And the reason I say like that's cool for our lowest grades is children are great at learning foreign languages.
Yeah.
And so I've seen my youngest is 13 and he's learning Japanese. And let me tell you, the true feeling of success, going back to inner worth, right? The inner wealth of a child.
Builds that.
When he came, I was reading, I was just laying in bed reading Cormac McCarthy because I read sad things.
Cormac McCarthy.
With no punctuation. What the heck?
We love Cormac.
So I was sitting in bed reading
peace, by the way,
a couple of nights ago, and he came in. He was like frothing at the mouth to tell me. Whoa. He was so excited. And he was like, Dad, Duolingo took away the Romanized alphabet.
Whoa.
And, I'm in like All the Pretty Horses version. And like, I've been reading Spanish and like shootouts in Mexico. And I'm like, what?
Huh?
Like, huh? What? Huh. And he was like the true success, that feeling of inner worth and success that he had progressed so far in learning Japanese that Duolingo took away the Arabic alphabet that he knew, the Romanized letters, and he only had the Japanese kanji to work from. And that's what he's been doing now. It was actually a couple of weeks ago, and he's still doing it.
That's amazing.
And
maybe as a kid.
Yeah. And so like I implore people out there, like, download the free app and let your kids learn foreign languages because it's doing a great job at it.
Yeah. Those are some great tools.
Yeah, there's so many more. So we're running out of time. But if you know great tools, please share them with us. We're always trying to curate lists and share them. And if you're interested, maybe we'll do an AI roundup.
Oh yeah,
could be kind of fun.
Oh yeah. If you're teaching this, use this.
Yeah,
that would be a great resource. But at least we got a little taste. You can try out some of these things.
Yeah, try these out. Let us know how they go.
Your teaching.
All right. Thanks for joining us.